that boom. Drop that boom.
All right, so we're live. We're recording the next episode of Drop That Boom.
Of course, anytime you do something for the Lord, you're going to have a whole bunch of problems. Because this world is not his. It's the devil's playground.
They got a word for that.
What's that?
Marriage.
Oh, really? Oh, you're full of jokes today.
Hey, I could be a comedian. So we're going to start this one a little different. And we need to start this one in a prayer.
Okay.
So why don't you pray for us?
Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for all your many blessings. Lord, just give us the wisdom, the words, whatever needs to be brought across. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
All right. So I guess y'all can tell this is probably going to be an emotional podcast. We'll get through it, but it's going to be raw. It's going to be unfiltered. It's going to be
Anytime you lose someone,
different. Yeah.
the love for that person doesn't die.
That's true. The love doesn't die just because they die. But we're going to talk about Harley Alexander Shirley. We called him Big Shur. And how our life changed.
A lot of people called him Shirley.
Yep, Shirley. Everybody called him Shirley. They still call Gabe Shirley.
Yeah.
For some reason, they like to pick on our last name.
Well,
But,
it's like having two first names.
But Big Shur on February 17th, 4 years ago, life changed drastically for not only our family,
Yes.
but the families of so many other children that were involved in this horrific event. And I will say, perpetrated by a bunch of cowards, and I say that because of how it happened, but, it doesn't change the fact that God still loves them and they still have a chance to go to heaven. So before we start talking about it, I just definitely want to say there's always a chance for redemption, even if it's not in this world.
Absolutely.
But February 17th, I was sitting in bed with Amy. We were watching a TV show. We were just talking, laughing. I remember it vividly. And my phone rang, and it was one of my best friends. And he said, tell me it ain't true. I said, tell you what ain't true. He's like, they killed Alex. And I was like, what are you talking about? They killed Alex. He's like, it's all over the news. They killed Alex. And I'm like, who killed Alex? And about that time, my phone beeps, and I look, and it's my daughter, which is our oldest child.
Daughter.
And she's crying, and she's like, Daddy, they killed my brother. I always expected to get that phone call, Daddy, I'm in jail.
Yeah.
I always expected to get the phone call, I need bail money, I need a lawyer, I need this, that, and the other. My car got impounded or something. I never
We kind of
expected.
laugh because the kids are like 4 to 5 years apart. So we
Yeah.
say that was either for college or for bail money.
That's always, our money we saved up was always college or bail money. And, but that phone call was one that no parent should ever have to receive. And there are a lot of parents out there, a lot of brothers and sisters, a lot of friends that have received that phone call. And it's a hard phone call. So
I think any kind of loss is a hard phone call
Yep.
if you're close to that person.
Especially
if you
unexpected.
deeply love that person.
yeah, well, unexpected loss, I think, just hits a little different.
It does.
There's no time to prepare.
No.
And
At all.
Before we get into it, I will say that I read a quote not long ago that really hit me hard. It said that today you'll speak to someone, you'll text someone, you'll have a phone call with someone, and neither one of you will know it's the last time.
And there's a lot of truth in that.
Oh yeah, but so that phone call, I jump in a truck. Actually, the gentleman that called me Jimmy.
And I did not go.
Yep, nope. I told Amy not to go. She did not need to be there. Because
let me tell you why
I knew
I
we were
didn't
going
go.
to the scene, though. Why didn't you go?
I didn't go because if Alex was still living, he would have called me to come pray for
Yeah.
him.
He would have.
He called me every time he was in an accident,
Trouble.
which was several times. You don't understand. This kid could not drive.
That boy drove like you.
No, he could not drive.
That's what I said. He drove like you.
And he would always call me and say, Maybe I'm in the hospital. I need you to come pray for me. Not that my prayers are any better than anybody else's prayers.
I wouldn't say that. I think
But-
sometimes God listens to you because you're redheaded. I do.
No, I don't think so. But I knew that he was not there.
Yeah. It was.
That he was gone.
It was pretty apparent from the first phone call. So I take off out there. We pull up. He had went to a balloon release
For another kid.
for another child. And, in a minute, we'll tell you exactly how the murder happened. That's not how we're starting this, though, but just so you have an understanding, I pull up, and they have driven from the point of the shooting 3 miles to the sheets to try to get help.
Yep.
When I get there, the body has been removed, but on the ground, there's a guy out there power washing. And he's power washing pools of blood. And there's, stuff from the paramedics everywhere, gloves, paper, bandages, just everything, everywhere.
I will say they tried.
Oh, they did. The paramedics tried.
They exhausted all they could to try to save Alex, but it was his time.
It was hard to watch that blood pull up and run into a drain because that's the last remnants of my son, our son. And some things I just think that you should not see. But I think God allows us to see things so that we can learn from them and help other people with them.
Absolutely.
And I really think that watching his blood pour into that drain, and it was a massive amount of blood. I mean, Alex was shot 7 times, 20 bullets were fired from less than 10 feet away. But seeing that amount of blood pouring in there really brought to the forefront the blood that was shed on the cross and how much Jesus must have bled from the time they beat him with a cat of 9 tails until the moment that he gave his life up. So, there's another father that watched his son bleed out and watched that blood drain into the ground. And the Bible says, ashes, ashes, dust at us, we shall return from that which we were created. So to see that blood go into the drainage and know that blood was going into the water that's going back into the ground, that's the full circle of life. That's literally the full circle of life. But, we really want to start out before we get into the murder with who Alex was and what kind of kid he was, what kind of man he was becoming. And of all the people that knew him,
his 21 years of life was definitely fulfilled.
It was adventurous. But I think Amy had a special bond. I think everybody had a special bond that knew Shirley, that knew Big Shir. But I think Amy and his bond was
he just kept the party
unique.
going. Let's just be honest.
Well, when Jesus...
He kept you laughing.
When Jesus turned water into wine, he did it to keep the party going.
Alex's one fault, I always say he was a lot like Paul in the Bible because his one fault was he would fight with his flesh daily.
Romans 7:12 is what you're talking about. Well, there's 2 verses. You're talking about when Paul talked about Romans 7:12, for I know what is good, but there's nothing good in my flesh, but yet I yearn basically to do what is good.
Absolutely. His heart, I always told him he had a heart of gold.
He did.
And he did. But his flesh wanted him to hang out, party. Typical teenager.
Social media influences.
Exactly. I mean,
it was rough.
He did a lot and he overcame a lot and he went through a lot. He went through rehab. I will say he never walked in a room that he did not make every single person laugh, ever. Exactly.
Any story you hear somebody tell about Alex.
He was definitely the class clown when he was younger.
I don't think that ever changed.
No, not at all.
I don't think that changed. He was he was like any other kid. We put him in everything, whether it was playing t-ball. He did not like football. He played soccer. He became a skateboarder.
Yes, that was his thing. He loved to skateboard. He broke several arms skateboarding.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time I went back to the hospital.
And I had to
stay in. So I was standing in there, and they had to reset his arm. And he was about to come unglued. And so I acted like I was flirting with the good-looking young doctor to get his mind off of it. And he started laughing, and they set it back into place. It was just a moment. But, I mean, he always was laughing about something. He was, I don't know, I can't say, but so many good things about Alex.
Yeah, he was.
Yes.
He was something else.
And he loved all his sisters and brothers.
Oh, yeah. He loved chicken nugget.
Which was Maggie.
That's what he called Maggie.
But that actually, I think the name was passed down from Alexa.
It probably was. And Lexa's the oldest sister, and man, he sure had a special bond with her. And him and
They
Gabe were
Alex and Alexa
something
went through a
else.
lot together.
They did.
Because they went through a divorce.
Yeah.
Because Ronnie was married before me. I have been in Alex's life since he was born.
The day he was born.
I have been in Alexa's life since she was 4 years old.
Amy was at the hospital the day he was born.
But I tell you that because...
Well, he called her Mamie.
Yeah.
Mama Amy. So he never, and this is funny, Alex was almost, and no kid is perfect, so I'm not about to say a perfect kid, but Alex was
no,
a
he was not
sold
perfect.
out kid that he was about 14, 15.
Yeah.
He was into church. He was into good things. He was into helping people, communities. And then, there came that age of 12. And at 12, you kind of get to decide, a lot of kids get to decide where they're going to stay, what they're going to do. Through his whole life, we had the kids more than half of the year. We literally had the kids probably 200 to 225 days a year. We didn't get the kids every other weekend. We got the kids every other week, took them to school, took them to practice. We had them all summer long. We got them a week at Thanksgiving, a week at Christmas. Like, we wanted our children to always be around us. But at 12 and 13, he got to decide, hey, me and Amy moved to another town, not far away, 40 minutes. But he got to decide whether he stayed with his mom or stayed with us, or he went back and forth. And at that age...
And he loved his mom. What kid don't love their mom?
At that age...
Especially a boy.
I think at that age, you're really influential. You're easily influenced.
Yes.
And he just happened to decide to stay with his mom a little more and got around the wrong crowd. And I'm not saying it's the crowd's fault, because you have to follow that crowd.
Absolutely. You make your own choices, your own decisions.
So,
and it doesn't matter sometimes how well you raise your child. They just get caught up in the mix.
well, the Bible says, you teach your children the way they should go, and they should not depart from it. But then it tells you about the prodigal son who was taught the way he should go, and he left. But the thing is, he came back. And I think that's what's so important, is they always come back.
But the one thing I stress to parents is, don't stop praying for them. Never stop praying.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they're doing, I don't care what they're doing. Always pray for them. Always cover them. Because they will, eventually, you pray that God's going to change that heart and open their eyes.
But I don't think your decisions in life define who you are. I think it defines where you go. And
Yes.
Alex made some bad decisions, and we're not going to say he didn't, and we're not going to support the bad decisions, but we never stop supporting the child. We never stop supporting the person he was or becoming.
You don't walk away from him.
Nah, I don't.
You don't. It's hard love, and it's really hard to stand back and watch a child be destructive and do things that are not right. But sometimes you got to love them through it. You got to pray for them, and eventually, I promise you, they always come back most of the time.
I believe in tough love, but I can tell you the one thing that we did, and I was more in the forefront of it, was, and we gave Alex tough love as he got older, when he got 17, 18, 19. But there was never a day that we did not tell him the door was open.
That's right.
That he could come home, that he could spend any night he wanted in the house, that we would love him, we would support him. No matter what he did, no matter what happened, we always told him, our door is unlocked to you. Our door will never be locked to you. No matter how bad it gets, no matter how far you wander away, no matter how desperate life becomes, this door at this house is always open, and there's always a room for you. And he still has a room. We won't ever do anything with that room other than Gabe goes in there and plays video games, because that's Alex's room. And, we won't ever take that room away. I mean, we'll use it to remember him fondly, but it's still Alex's room,
Yeah.
And Alex basically, after high school, started experimenting with a lot of different drugs.
Yep.
And joined a gang. I guess what they call them, the Pyru Bloods or something. I don't know.
I'm not really.
Yeah,
I
know it's a blood gang.
With him.
And ironically, it's what blows my mind is, and this is what just trips me out, is you join a gang, then you leave a gang, and they say blood in, blood out.
Yeah,
I get that. But I told them for years that these people do not love you. These people do not care about you, Alex. And in the end, these people are going to hurt you.
Yep.
And it was those exact people that took his life.
Absolutely.
That shows you, this gang mentality of, this is my fam. Man, you do one thing wrong and them mugs will end you. I mean, I'm being serious. You make a mistake, you cut short up on some money on a deal, you do something, they will end you. That's
because
not
it's
love.
all about power and money.
That's it, power and money. And
Power and money. I don't see the love. I mean, I obviously don't see God in it, and I don't see love in it. I don't understand half of it, to be honest with you. I mean,
but he
didn't really talk to me about that side of his life because he knows that I did not approve of it.
Yeah. But I remember one of our biggest arguments is he come to the house one night for dinner and he had on some mama beads.
Yes.
Which is, for lack of a better term, a voodoo.
Yes.
Religious thing where a woman puts prayer over you with demonic entities and they protect you. And I'm like, bruh.
You gotta take those off.
Yeah.
Before you walk in my house, because
when you let the devil put his hands on you, then he follows you around.
That's right.
And
you can't welcome that type of behavior into your house. I welcome him, but I'm not going to welcome some kind of beads that's been hexed on.
Yeah, and the guy showed up at the lot not long ago because, believe it or not, we get a lot of gang members at the lot because of what we do. And he had on some mama beads, and I looked at him and said, those are mama beads. He's like, how you know about mama beads? I'm like, oh, bro, I know.
Yeah.
But, in the end, those mama beads didn't do him a bit of good, did it? And a lot of people, I had one guy tell me, well, what good did God do? I said, well, God took him home. Where did mama beads take him? The mama beads didn't take him home, you know?
It's weird because for years I prayed for Alex to come home.
Yeah.
I prayed for him to come home. I just didn't say what home.
And he did. I was with him the day he got saved at 14. I'll never forget it. We were on the side of the road, and he looked at me and said, Daddy, I don't want to die. I don't want to go to hell and spend my life burning. And I said, well, there's a way around that. You've been raised in church. You know what we got to do. And you got to get saved and you got to get baptized. And we sat right there on the side of the road. We even called Johnny Ellis. And we sat right there on the side of the road and did the sinner's prayer and had a long conversation on the side of a major highway. I'm surprised we didn't get pulled. Surprised the cop didn't pull up and say, what are y'all doing? Oh, man, we're over here talking about salvation. But but I remember the day he got saved, and that was probably one of the, to see any of our children that got saved or baptized, that is the most joyous
All
occasion.
Of our children have.
Yeah, I'm saying, but those occasions are so joyous. I remember when Pounds got saved in the dining room.
Yeah,
I remember
with
when
Chris
Gabe,
Bays and
with Chris Bays and Neil
Chamberlain.
I remember when Gabe got saved. I mean, you remember them all, and Alexa, and when you look back and you have a tragic situation like this, it gives you something to really hold on to, because we know we're going to see them again.
That's right.
If we do what we're supposed to do and live the lifestyle we're supposed to live, and we're truly saved. So, people can believe whatever they want to believe religious-wise, and I will tell you, I have friends that are atheists.
Look at the alternative, though.
Well,
why not believe?
I have friends that are atheists. I have friends that are Muslims. I got one friend that's actually a Buddhist.
Yeah. Well, I used to be a funeral director, so I have witnessed every type of religion there is.
But, the only conversation I have with all of them is this, if you don't believe, that's one thing, we can have that discussion. But with all the ones that believe in another religion, I just ask them where their prophet or leader or whatever is buried. And they all have an answer. Like, they can tell you where they're all buried. They can tell you where Buddha's buried. They can tell you where Muhammad's buried. They can tell you all that. But nobody can show you the bones of Jesus.
That's right.
It's the only religion where there are no bones in the ground. And so, I don't care what religion people believe in as far as who they are. But if they ever want to sit down and have a discussion, that's the discussion that we start with and that we have. And so, I know where Alex is. And I know where he's going to be when I get there. And that's, so I think the hardest part, and it's really hard as a husband and a father to not be able to protect your child. But it's even harder as a husband and a father to not be able to protect your wife. And since Alex died, I cannot in any way ease Amy's pains. I cannot take it away. I can't cover it up. I can make her laugh. I always do. I can make her smile. I can try to get her mind off of it. But the one thing in life that really bothers me is I can't take that pain away. You can't take other people's pain away.
No.
And as a protector, as a father, as a husband, as a mentor, that's what you want to do. I tell people all the time that if I could trade places with Alex, I would, 100%. If he gave him one more day to stay around his family, then I would gladly trade places with him. But what loving parent wouldn't?
That's right.
What loving parent would not do that?
That's so true.
What is What are some of the funniest, fondest stories you remember of Alex? I know one. At the top of my head, the mud story.
Oh, this one?
Oh, that you talk about that at least once a month. You talk about that four-wheeler
That's
story.
because he took Gabe's four-wheeler and decided to go mud bogging and went. He thought that the
Only thing I told him is do not get it stuck. Stay out of this mud pit. And I knew exactly where the mud pit was.
He went right in the. That is so his personality.
It is.
He went right for the danger, and then he calls me. He goes, "Mamie, I need you to come winch me out." I was like, "You have a winch on the four-wheeler. Wrap it around the tree." And he's like, "No, you don't understand. It's like halfway up the four-wheeler, like it's sinking." So I had to go down there with the. We end up putting the what do you call those things? Like the slaps up under the tires.
Yeah. Y'all
And
put
then we
boards under
winched it around the tree and we started pulling. And I mean, yeah, you can tell we were pretty muddy after the situation.
I remember the first time we took him to the farm, and you weren't with us that day. And I said, I got off to open the gate.
Oh, yes, I was.
Were you with us that day?
Yeah.
And I got off to open the gate, and Alex was on the four-wheeler, and he opened the gate. Well, he had idled his four-wheeler up. So I drive through, and I said, all right, Alex, shut the gate. And I look back, and Alex is by the gate, and his four-wheeler's going into the pond.
In the pond, yes.
Yeah, because he didn't set the e-brake. And I'm like, what are you doing, you know? And of course, then you get mad and you get a little upset, you know. And money was really tight back then, so to have a four-wheeler was a big deal.
Yeah.
And, you know, and you look back at those stories now, and you're like, man, how stupid it was to get mad over a flooded four-wheeler, you know? Because I would let him flood 1 million four-wheelers.
He also was the OG cowboy.
Oh, yeah.
And people don't know that because
4 years
later in
old, riding
life,
sheep.
as he got older, I think one of the last conversations we were taking Gabe and Maggie to school and we were riding in my truck and he was like, I think I could drive a truck. I was like, you can't even drive a car.
Yeah,
I was
true.
like, but okay, if you want to get a truck, maybe we can look into that. And he was the original cowboy. When he was 4 and 5, every 4th of July, we'd go to Maggie Valley and he would get on the sheep and he would mutton bust.
He loved that. And how ironic that 24 years later, his brother wins a belt buckle bull riding.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm being serious. Like, you know, Alex started that whole thing, the little chaps, the cowboy hat. Now, he loved cowboys and wrestling.
Yes.
Boy, love wrestling. Love some WWE now. Goodness gracious.
And he loved magic.
Oh, my gosh, he did.
We would spend weekends.
Oh,
If he did something
wow.
great in school, his reward, you know, we would go to
the
the magic
magic
shop.
shop.
There was one up there on Capitol Boulevard. And then I met Chris and Neil.
Rockstar Magic.
Yes.
They did Alice's 12th, 13th. It was one of his birthdays.
It was one of his birthdays. And he was hooked. He loved it.
Oh, it was on, man. They made him levitate and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, and they ended up doing a birthday for Maggie.
Now Chris still comes over all the time showing us magic tricks, but every time he does, I always...
They done blowed up big. They're too
Well,
big for us now. You know how that is.
They rock stars.
That's
rock stars.
right.
But I always think about Alex when Chris does a magic trick. It always trickles in my mind, you know.
Because
was-
he loves stuff like that.
Yeah, there was so many
just
great stories.
awkward stuff.
Love riding around with Gabe in his truck when Gabe first got his license, you know. I mean, just little things. And Alex appreciated the little things. And the day like I said, the day he got saved, looking back, especially after the death, because Alex got into gangs, he got into partying, he got into all that.
Yep.
But we never turned our back on him. Like I said, we loved him through it. Now, I'm not going to say I'd give him $200 when he needed it, because there were times where I knew that money was going, but there was nothing I wouldn't give him. He needed clothes, we bought him clothes. He needed a car, we buy him a car. You know, we just tried to limit it in a way that we were trying to get him to go back in the right direction. And then he goes off to rehab, does so good, comes back, starts working, gets a job. Like, he was really turning his life around, getting away from the gang.
But this was my one thing with the whole situation is that when you pull yourself out of a situation, and I've never been addicted to anything, so I'm not really sure.
Other than me.
Please. Anyway, when you pull yourself out of a situation, I don't think you should go back into the same environment.
I agree.
When you're a newbie or you're fresh, you can't go back over. I mean, when he was in rehab, he had an option. I told him that I would buy him an apartment and he could stay up there where he was in the mountains, that he didn't have to come back. I think that Ronnie's mom offered up some stuff. I don't know what Christy, his biological mom, offered up, but he ended up going back to Christy's house.
We knew that staying away for a short time was where he needed to be to get on his own track in his own life. And there were too many offers put on the table
Yes.
for him to stay away, especially at his age, an apartment of his own back here, going to get him a car, going to do this, that, and the other. And at his age, that all meant something.
But, when you divorce somebody, and I say this with all the love in my heart, when you divorce somebody, I understand you leaving that person, but you got to communicate for your kids. You got to be on the same page for your kids, because in the end, it affects the kid.
I think you told me that every time we had an argument back then about the children, it was always because there was no communication. And you would always say, the kids have to come first. It doesn't matter about you. It doesn't matter about her. It doesn't matter about all this other stuff. The only thing that matters are those children.
That's right.
And honestly, at that point, with all the hate and anger I had in my heart for her, and I mean, I had a lot because of what happened, and she cheated on me, et cetera, whatever, but that doesn't matter. But with all that in my heart, it was hard to communicate. And, I wish I'd have listened more to you back then about, let's just put the kids first. Let's do what's best for the kids first. And, it took a lot of years for you to drive that into my head. And when we started doing that, or I started doing that because you did it the whole time, I started seeing a change in their lives, a change in their lifestyles, a change in the way they handle situations and problems. And I look at the kids that we have now, and most people don't know now, we have one child that we pretty much adopted, Pounds. Yep. He's our, I've
taken in several kids over the years.
We took in Lexi.
Yeah.
I mean, Amy has kept our doors open and basically taken in so many children to just try to help them. And this is long before Alex was gone.
That's right.
Because she always felt that we should put our kids first. And when she saw parents that were not putting their kids first, or kids that were in a situation that lost their parents, which was another one of our situations, Amy always tried to put those kids first. And I will tell you that, I don't think Amy has ever loved one child more than another. Now, we all know her favorite child is her dog.
My what?
Your dog.
Oh, Juju?
Jude is her golden child. But Amy never loved one child that we had more than another. But we always knew, like if the phone rang and it was the police, we knew which child it was.
Yes, you know the characteristics of those children.
If the phone rang and it was money, we knew which child it was.
I've always said, though, it's really kind of weird, that Alexa and Gabe act more alike, and Alex and Maggie act more alike, because they're the funny, ha-ha, easy flow, don't worry about anything. And Gabe and Alexa, they're going to think about it. They're, they're going to make wise decisions most of the time.
Yeah. Most is the key word. But, Alex was, I can't say enough good things about him. And he did a lot of bad, but we all do. I mean, everybody knows my story's open book, man.
Yeah, if you tell me you've never done something bad in your life, I'm going to call you a liar, because everybody has done bad stuff.
I was a drug addict. I was a steroid addict. I mean, I'm open about my life. There was a lot of problems I had, and I think that, unfortunately, is traits are passed down to your kids. And I think one of my worst traits, and I'll say this openly, is I am an addictive person. If I get onto something,
whether it's a video game,
I'm telling you, I'm
studying the Bible.
I'm telling you, if I'm in it,
a podcast.
When we do Bible study, it's 5 weeks of we're not getting out of this book 3 hours a day. I want to start streaming more.
I think that is a sign of ADHD, though.
I don't know, but I know I want to start streaming with my boy, Gabe, and Pounds. I want to stream with them. And I'm like, all right, so I can play games with them and stream. And so 2 weeks ago, I started a game called Arc Raiders.
And he has been hooked.
I got 48 hours in it in 2 weeks. But I think I passed that addictive personality down to Alex. And, there's certain things that you can't change. And I think traits are one of them. And Alex had an addictive trait. If he got into something, he was just in it full blown, no matter what it was. If it was wrestling, if it was magic, if it was partying, he was full blown into it. And it didn't make him a bad person.
No.
But you have to take a child's trait and you have to work around that trait. And I didn't know how to. And Amy always did. And Amy was always our prayer warrior. I mean, I can spew as many verses from the Bible as you want me to spew. I'm no Chad Harvey. I'm no Chris Connell. But I mean, I know my verses and I know my Bible, but that doesn't make you a saved person or a good person. It's what you do with those verses you've learned, with that knowledge you've gained that make you those things. And Amy puts all that into practice for us. So, you know, Alex did have a great foundation, and I do hate some of the traits that I passed down, but I don't know anybody that doesn't have some bad traits.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't. I mean, you can't judge a person based on their traits. You just have to work around them.
I mean, I think that's what makes us different too.
It is, 100%. It is. But, you know, I remember his goth. He went through a goth phase. You remember that?
Yeah, I had
couldn't
that black
stand
hair.
The goth
Yeah.
phase. I hated the goth phase. I was like, boy, you are not a vampire.
I don't know what that was about, but he loved it. Had long. I mean, his hair was always different. Like if you look in that picture, he's got long hair,
Short hair,
short
shaved hair.
He was always doing something crazy with his hair. Usually it was kind of long and shaggy, but that's just the way he liked it.
He got into kicks, shoes.
Yeah,
did that for a
he
while.
did. He had shoe game.
Oh, he did have shoe
ended
game.
up going with some. I don't know who he went with, but they went to one of the, I think Charlotte or
Sneaker
somewhere.
cons,
Sneaker
or whatever.
cons.
He
Yeah,
started flipping shoes.
Yeah.
he was,
He was
talented, man.
he was. He was telling me all about them shoes.
Oh, he did his
he
research.
knew his shoes.
He's the first one in our family to buy Bitcoin.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. I mean, there's just so many things. So many.
But Amy did pray over him every night, and
And I think that's one thing that's so important in every is a
cover
prayer
your kids,
life.
man. Cover
Let
your
your
children.
kids see you pray.
Yeah.
Pray with them.
Don't be ashamed of who you are. I don't care. Again, I
Pray
don't care if you're
over 'em.
religious or not religious. Don't be ashamed to let your kids see who you are, as long as who you are is not a bad person. Like,
I'm going to tell you.
don't teach them the
you
bad
know,
stuff, man.
People say they never see God show up. Well, I saw God show up when Alex died because I'm a little hard-headed. So I always have to have confirmation.
Who would have guessed that? You're hard-headed.
I'm very hard-headed. But you always have to have I always have to have confirmation. And I wanted, as a mom, my main concern was to make sure that Alex I knew he was saved. I just wanted to know he was in heaven. I just wanted to know that he was okay. And at about, let's see, Ronnie was just walking in the door. I think it was like 5:30 a.m.
It was, your son hadn't rose yet. It was getting, you could see you know how you see that hue in the sky right before the sun comes up, like the little blue, like where the light's just starting to come up. It had just started. Like literally you could see the hue.
And I was like, God, just let me know you got him. Just let me know he's okay. Well, we got this one room in our house. It's our dining room, actually. And we do all our celebrations in there. But it has 2 bay doors that never get unlocked.
They have a
and
deadbolt and a regular lock on them, and I don't think we've opened them 2 times in our entire existence.
Yeah. And so at about the time Ronnie's walking in the door, I hear some massive bang.
I had just heard
wish-
you say, God, let me know he's in heaven. I literally had heard those words. God, just let me know he's with you.
I just wished I would have took a picture of it so people would believe me. So I could show them exactly how God works to give you, if you ask God for something and you cry out, he will deliver. And he had blew those doors open. And I think it could have been any door in my house, but I think it was those doors because that's where we celebrated everything.
Well, what was so crazy was when they blew open, there was no storm outside.
Yep.
There was no wind outside. It was calm.
Quiet.
And when I looked at the doors, the deadbolt was still engaged. And literally a deadbolt's 2 inches?
Yeah.
I had to go get a key to turn the deadbolt off, to shut the doors, to reshut the deadbolt. And the handle was locked. I didn't have to relock the handle. It was still locked. And, you know, that was probably the most peaceful, painful experience that I've ever encountered, because there's so much pain in knowing that he's gone, but there was so much peace in knowing where he's at.
Yep.
And I'll never forget.
But I knew it was okay, and I
yeah.
didn't question God about it.
I'll never forget growing up, I saw crazy things, but I remember I had a family member die. We were all there. Back then when people were on their deathbeds, you would go to their house and we'd wait We knew they were leaving. And I remember hearing him, and I was a kid, scream, my feet are on fire, my feet are on fire. Somebody put my feet out. And at the time, I didn't understand it. My feet are burning. Y'all, I'm burning. Oh, my God, it's getting dark. Look, oh, what are those things? What are those feet? Don't touch me. And then he died. And, I'm 7, 8 years old, and Grandma pulled me to the side. And over the years, she explained to me that he wasn't saved and he was going to hell and he was seeing where he was headed. And God was trying to give him a chance to call out. And as a kid, you don't understand that.
No.
And a few years later, and my grandma Murdy, she was my favorite person in the world, but I remember Grandma dying. And I'll never forget, because she was a very holy woman, that she was ate up with cancer, head to toe, mind leaving the whole nine, body shutting down. And she was so feeble that she couldn't really even move. And we were all over there, and Mama was in the room with her, and Aunt Louise was in the room with her, and I had walked down the hallway, and I heard her. And she started talking like she had talked 20 years earlier when I was a kid, like 15 years earlier. And she sat up in the bed. Now, this woman didn't have enough energy to feed herself a spoonful of soup. And she sat up in the bed and she said, "Can y'all hear that? Can you hear that beautiful music?" And everybody's looking at her like she's lost her mind. And immediately I felt this peace that I cannot explain, but it was the most loving, gentle, caring, nurturing peace I have ever stood in the presence of. And then she said, "Oh, look at them. They are beautiful. Judy, can you see the angels?" And that's my mom. And Mom's like, "No, I don't see no angels." And she's like, "Oh, they're everywhere and they're singing. Oh, it's so beautiful. Can y'all not hear it?" And at this point, everybody's crying because we know she's leaving. Like, we literally know. And then she says, "Oh my gosh, Papa. And look at my mama. She's got her long black hair." And when her mama was young, her mom had this long black hair. And of course, as you get older, you don't have all that. Mm-hmm. And she saw her mother and father like they were when they were in their 20s.
Oh, wow.
And she reached her hand up and said, "Papa," because that's what we call great-grandpa. And she died. I mean, literally fell dead. And you would think as a kid that would scar you.
No.
But as a kid, when people say, "Have you ever seen God? Have you ever spoke to God?" Bro, I can't tell you that me and God have ever had an audible conversation. I can't. I can tell you we've spoke. He spoke in my heart. He spoke in my mind. He spoke in my life. He spoke with signs and wonders. And I've seen people healed that were dying. I've been healed. A hole in my heart was healed. But when they say, "Have you ever seen God?" Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah. I saw him that day because only God can provide that kind of peace. And I felt that exact same peace for about 5 seconds when that door blew open. It's not a situation folks can understand until they feel it. But if you ever feel that peace, you'll never ever question. You'll never question, "Is there a God?" I promise you won't. You'll never ever say, "Is there a God?" Mm-hmm. Because you know, something in you knows that, hey, this was not a big bang door blew open. This was not an evolution of a door cracking open over 2,000 years. This was a God. This was the God. This was Yahweh. This was, Jehovah Jireh. And I wish that if I could give everybody listening anything, it would be 5 seconds of that feeling, that peace, that understanding that touches no other. I honestly think that is what Adam and Eve failed in the Garden of Eden before that dad-burned woman ruined the world.
Oh, whatever.
I think, but I do. I think that was that. I think that's what they felt all the time when they walked with God. There's that peace, that love, that nurturing. But I don't know, man. It's so hard to find that peace in this life.
Well, it's so hard to convince people too.
It is.
Of faith.
And our thing is, we're not perfect. I'm way less perfect than Amy.
Absolutely not.
I'm so less perfect than Amy. Like, I still
Nobody's
screw up.
perfect. Everybody has battles on a day-to-day.
Yeah, I still screw up. And that's what the verse you were talking about is, I don't have any good in my flesh. That's what Paul was saying. But I know what's right, and I strive to do what's right. Romans 7, it was either 7:12 or 7:18. Yep. And, but he also said in Ephesians, it's not against flesh and blood we fight, but against the principalities of darkness. And everything that we fight is evil.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that now me and you, just skipping down the road a bit, we have to fight that evil every day, because it's at least once a week somebody comes in the office and says, this is why your son copped a bullet. This is why your son took 20. This is why what you do for a living is why your son's dead. Da, da, da,
Let me
da.
tell you something.
And it's usually gang members. And I'm laughing. I'm like, bro, y'all have no idea. Y'all don't understand life.
You don't serve the God I serve.
No.
You don't understand God. The one thing when they were convicting these gentlemen of murder, the one thing that I saw is there was no family.
None.
There was no love.
None.
There was no compassion. There was no
None.
empathy. There was no sympathy. These boys were on their own.
I never saw a father,
Nobody showed
grandfather,
up for them.
friends.
Nobody came in for them.
Nope.
They had maybe one of them's mom did show up at one point.
Well, she was charged.
That was
crime.
That was the younger. That was Nathan Jackson.
Yeah, Nathan's mom was
mother.
charged in the crime. She was the only one in court every day.
And apparently, from what we understand, it was her gun that was used.
Supposedly, her brother has said that Diane Jackson, and she's changed her name, so I'm not going to give out her new last name, but supposedly there was 2 guns that killed Alex, and supposedly...
And we got a mysterious phone call about
her brother,
a
who
couple
went back to
weeks ago.
France.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, her brother went
And he
back to
told me.
France and called us up and told
Said he couldn't live
Ronnie
with it anymore.
He couldn't live with it anymore, that it was her gun.
She bought the gun.
She bought the
and
gun.
gave it to her son.
And gave it to her son, yes.
And that's what we're talking about with not giving your child your bad traits.
That's
if
right.
that story's true, and of course that's what he said.
Absolutely.
We never went to court. It was never proven. But he called up crying on the phone. It's a full-grown man. He said, I just got back to France. Here's my number in France. And he said, I just wanted you to know the gun that killed your son, one of the guns, she gave him.
She gave him.
She supported gang life. She supported her kids being in that lifestyle.
She supported her son going out and killing another child.
Well, it wasn't just one son.
Destroying
It wasn't just
another
one son.
family. There were 5 people in Alex's car.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is her other son was charged in the crime also.
Yeah, for aiding and
accessory
abetting.
after the
Accessory.
fact, helping hide the gun,
Yeah.
dispose of evidence. And he died. He was 18 or 19, and he died from a heart condition before we had trial.
Yeah, that is true.
So when I started this off saying so many families were affected, you have a mother here who I'm not angry with her. I don't hate Diane.
we're just
I'm just telling
spewing
you.
facts.
Yeah, I'm
The
just
facts of the story.
I'm just saying that here's a mother who supports
And what has taken place.
who supports gang life, basically, who supports her kids doing this, who helped hide the gun, who helped get him away from the scene. And I get it. You'll do anything for your child. And I think that this is ironic. I ain't gonna say ironic because I don't believe in irony, but I think it's very odd that the day we decided to release this podcast, which we've been planning for about a month now, is the day after the Carmelo Anthony verdict with Austin Metcalf, where he was found guilty yesterday and given 35 years in Texas for killing a boy. And I think, I've been following that trial closely because we lost a child. Amy hadn't really followed it at all. But what I saw was parents who, for the most part, were devastated that their son is no longer here. And now you have 2 parents, for the most part. I didn't see a lot of remorse in any of their actions during the trial, before it, et cetera, until after the verdict was heard. And then I saw 2 parents who were destroyed because their child's life is also forfeited. Yeah, he's living, but his life was forfeited. And this has affected, I just look back at how it affected us and all these other families. Mm-hmm. And yesterday I saw the exact same effects, man. These kids don't realize that when you do stuff like this, you're not hurting yourself.
You can't take it back
as much as you are everybody else.
Yeah. You're hurting,
You're destroying
one of them,
families.
I think, has a kid, and you're hurting that kid that doesn't get to grow up with you. You're hurting the mom that will not see you
The
because
sisters, the
you're behind
brothers.
bars.
I mean,
you are pulled out of every event, every birthday, every celebration, anything with your family is like for me and Ronnie, Alex does not show up at Christmas. He is not there.
I tell people, they ask me all the time, what's the hardest part? And the hardest part is the moments that I'll never get to have. The birthday.
I mean, you do. You sit and you look around, and
I'll never get to hold his son.
you'll
or daughter.
always, your heart will not completely be full again,
Ever.
because you always have this feeling of heavy weight because he's not
somebody
there.
made an action, man. That's my hardest part.
I think the hardest part for me is watching how it affected his brothers and sisters.
That's hard, but
and the other people in the family.
I know that God gets them through too. But I mean, that's not. Don't get me wrong. That's not comfort. Many times when you look at somebody and say, "God will get you through," that is not comfort. God is comfort.
Yes,
but them saying that is not comfort. I'm telling you now.
I mean, people.
I
think the problem with that is people don't know what to
say.
They
don't. They never. The whole time we were at the funeral and stuff, nobody knew what to say.
And this is look. I will be honest. As I'm standing there, at the casket, and I'm watching it go down, you don't have to say nothing to me. I can feel it by you just being there.
A hug
you
and a
don't have
tear,
to say I'm sorry, because it's not nothing you say or do is going to bring that person back. But just giving somebody a hug and just being there for that person, that's what matters.
But I will tell you this: you cannot hate.
No,
you cannot let that hate eat you up and define you. You cannot let that anger and that pain control and consume you. One of the hardest things we had to do was forgive the shooters. And we told them on stand. And here's the funny thing is, and again, just
you don't forgive them for them. You forgive them
for you and for God, because God commands us. He doesn't say forget. Nowhere does he say forget. Nowhere does he say we have to be involved in their life. Nowhere does he say we have to do anything other than forgive them. Because when Jesus was on the cross, his last words before he says it is finished is, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not
what they
do." And used to, I just thought he meant they don't know they're killing the Son of God. But absolutely not. They had no idea they were changing the world. When they took his life, they were opening a door for eternal salvation or eternal damnation. And they had no idea. It wasn't about the life that was losing right there. When he said, "Forgive them not, they know not what they do," they had no idea the ramifications eternally that they were about to unleash upon the world. So I think it was so much deeper than the actual act of death. And, it was hard sitting in court, though.
I honestly think almost every day that I went to court, I said that in my head. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. And then I also said Romans 12:21, which is on the back of my arm. I said, overcome evil with good. I just kept telling myself, in order to get through this, you got to overcome evil with good.
It's funny that one of the bad traits that I've passed on to my wife and all of my children is my love for tattoos. I have affected my entire family, other than Maggie.
Oh, yeah, Maggie, she's
still young. But I have passed on my love of tattoos, and everybody in my family gets ink. And it's just something that I absolutely love. But I try to use my tattoos now to tell a life story. But I remember the one thing I said to Alex on a regular basis was, "I will always forgive you no matter what, and I will always love you no matter how hard." And I remember the day he came to me and he had that tattooed on his body. That those words stuck in his head. That my mama, my mammy, and my daddy, my mammy and daddy will forgive me no matter what, and they will love me no matter how hard. And those words that I told him, that we told him, came from Jesus, came from the Bible, because that's what Jesus says he'll do for you. But I went after he passed away and put the exact same tattoo on my arm, and that is by far and away of all the great artwork I have, and I have some great work from some great artists, that hits me harder than any piece I have. Just because he remembered that.
Yeah.
And in his last moments, he knew that. And he knew it wasn't only us, but his real father upstairs that would bring him home. And I remember sitting in the courtroom so many days. And keep in mind the horrific part about, and this is where I feel.
What was it, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
A trial for
that's
3
what
weeks?
I feel about the case that just happened and all the murder cases. You have to sit there and look at the screen of all the evidence, the videos of all the evidence. You have to sit there and see your son's body laying there, or your daughter's, whoever. You have to sit there and see the person that you love displayed across the stream dead, blood running from them, bullet holes in them, shell casings, and you have to relive that day after day after day after day. And one of the shooters, so I'll tell you what, before we go to that, let's go to the actual murder so people understood what happened.
So basically, in a nutshell, because I don't really like to rehash everything that went on, but what happened was Alex went to a balloon release.
A kid had died 3 or 4 days earlier in a car wreck.
Yep. Alex gets in a car with 4 other people. In the front seat, you have a driver. You have another boy in the passenger seat.
Brandon
you
Hunter.
have another boy in the back seat. You have Sophie Hagee that's in the center. And then you have Alex that's over here behind the driver. Okay. I do believe that God took Alex and only Alex because Alex was saved. And I believe that all those other kids in that car got a second chance at life and got a second chance to get it right.
I don't disagree with that.
So they pull up to park because they're going to go to a house afterwards for the celebration. I guess they were having a gathering at this house.
They're in the front yard of the grandmother's house.
They then pull up they were going to park on the road.
Yep.
Somebody said, do not park on the road, supposedly.
Somebody told them to move. The
And
only car
pulled
out
them
there that got moved.
Yes. And pulled them in in front of the grandmother's house. At that point in time, from what they say that Alex actually had got out of the car for a moment, got back in the car. Over to the left, you have Cassidy, Prince, which is
Kevon Nicholson.
Yep. Then you have Dollar and Static, which is Nathan Jackson and Joshua Stewart. They're in their little car. Okay. And they pull up on a side road that's off apparently from the house.
Yeah, but before that, one of them had beef with Alex.
Josh.
Josh had beef with Alex.
Yes.
And in court, he says that they saw Alex get back in the car and he talked about beating him up.
Yes, he did.
And the other guy, especially Prince, said, no, let's just kill him.
Yes, let's just.
So they talked Josh into, let's just go kill him because you have just a disagreement in the end.
Over a cash app.
Yeah, over $300.
Yes.
$300 is why we're going to take this boy's life. So, and so they actually pulled up beside the car to see on what side Alex was sitting on. Correct. And Prince got out and saw where he was sitting and got back in, and that's when they went over to the dirt path.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So they were planning this.
So then all 3 of them stand at the back of the car. They get their guns out. Apparently, Josh has no bullets, so he has to borrow a bullet from Nathan,
who has a
Prince
20-shot clip.
is orchestrating the whole thing. Blah, 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 right in the ear, telling them exactly what to do.
Because he's
the shot caller.
He's the shot caller, but he's the only one that does not have the guts to go perform the act that he's trying to get 2 kids who are under 18 to perform.
Yes.
So this big, tough gangbanger is too scared to go do the dirt. So he sends 2 other people to do it.
Because they're underage and he feels that they're not going to get convicted for murder.
Correct.
I can tell you what that boils down to. As adults. Correct. Which.
That's a tough guy right there, buddy.
Yeah. So anyway, they basically, both of them, put their ski masks down. Prince stays over there, puts his hand over the light to cover it up, holds the back of the seat up. They run over there and they light the car up.
20 shots.
When they start lighting the car up, the boy that's in the front passenger seat then gets out and runs in the house. The boy that's in the back gets out and runs in the house. Sophie is screaming to Claire to please drive. Alex, because Alex was the main target, I'm sure at this time is done. I mean, he's done.
7 bullets.
Yeah, 7 bullets.
3 fatal.
There was 1 bullet from one gun, which I think it was Josh's gun. And I think Josh is the one who had to borrow the bullet to get it, to take the shot. There was 19 shots from Nathan Jackson's gun, who is Dala. Let's give him his clout.
Who never showed 1 ounce of remorse in trial.
He did not. His mother is the one who gave him the gun.
Supposedly.
And he did not care.
Didn't crack a tear.
He did not
never
care.
Looked at us in testimony.
The only emotion I ever saw him have is when they found him guilty. and you
Gave him
saw
40
him
years.
do a little bit heavy
Shake,
breathing.
yeah.
But other than that, he didn't care. He didn't care at all. Anyway, at this time that Sophie is screaming, she has now got bullets lodged in her back and she is down in the floorboard. Alex has leaned over her. I do think Alex was probably trying to shield her because him and Sophie were close. Really close friends. So at this time, Claire, she snaps out of it. She throws the car in drive. She goes through a ditch and they're out. And there, you hear the 911 call that Sophie makes talking about how she's been shot, that the boy was shot, that Alex has been shot. I think she says she doesn't know if he's breathing or not.
At this point, she doesn't even know she's paralyzed.
Yes, she does not.
She can't figure out why she can't get out the floor.
Yes. They pull up to the sheets. Claire gets out hollering and screaming for help. I'm not sure what the time frame is on how long it took for paramedics and EMS and stuff to pull out. But somebody did come up and help Sophie get up out of the car, and then they pulled Alex from the car. I believe Alex was gone before he ever got to the sheets.
Well, it takes, I think, somewhere between 3 100ths and 6 100ths of a second to pull the trigger. Would average 9mm, 115 grain bullet.
With an extended clip.
Yeah, so we're talking hundredths of a second.
Yeah.
It takes exactly 0.01 seconds for that same bullet to travel 11 feet. They were shooting Alex from 11 feet away. So they were literally on top of him.
Yes.
They shot 20 shots into the car. They didn't hit anybody in the front seat. They didn't hit the boy on the back right. The only two people they hit was Alex and Sophie. But that was only 9 shots. There were 11 more bullets that entered this car. Headrest, dash, windshields, back windows, and didn't hit anybody.
Exactly. I'm telling you now.
God gave them a second chance.
God gave them a second chance.
And I will say this, and I hope
the girl that was
Claire,
that was the driver. Apparently, she's had some grief issues anyway because she had some issues, I think, where she saw someone very close to her who had passed away.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that God was giving her a second chance because one of those bullets, I don't know if you know what the metal piece of the headrest looked like that come down from the headrest. One of those bullets was lodged right into that metal bar.
How it didn't go through there.
And how didn't go through and it
sense.
didn't hit her. It should have hit her right in the back of the neck, and it did not.
And I hope they all watch this podcast for one reason. I really do. During this whole time, during the murder, the funeral, the trial, I never saw Brandon or his parents. I never saw Hunter or his parents. I never saw Claire or her parents. And I know Claire's parents are good people. I'm saying I got message through other people about them, but I never saw any of them. I never saw them saying, we're sorry for your loss. I never saw them saying...
They were all scared.
Well, I get it, but I mean, they should at some point...
Apparently, from what I understand, the gang...
Had threatened them all.
But they had told them if they showed up or they showed out that they were going to get shot up.
I always expected them
like
to at least
Shirley.
come to us at some point and say, hey, I just want to tell you I was sorry. I reached out to Brandon because I wanted him to be at trial, and they wouldn't even show up at trial. And, you know, I get it. You're scared. You ain't got to show up. It's not your job. But at some point, I expected him to reach out to us. And the reason I wanted to reach out for us was not for their condolences, not for their sorry, not for their whatever. So I could look them in the eye and tell them, you got a second chance at life. Don't waste it.
That's right.
Give me 5 minutes to tell you to not waste your life. If Alex's death meant anything to you, just give me 5 minutes to tell you to not waste your life.
Yep.
But I haven't had the opportunity, so I'm hoping that in this podcast, at some point they watch this, and I can look at them and say, you got your second chance. Don't throw your life away.
Don't throw it away.
Don't do it.
Do the right thing.
This is your chance. I don't need your condolences. I don't need your sorries. I don't need your, whatever. I need you to take advantage of his death by living your life. So when we started everything,
it took us a while to even regroup and get back together. I will say that.
It was rough. The trial was horrible because Joshua caught...
Well, I mean, we started getting threats. I'll tell you that. Let me go on with that.
What was it? I got green lighted?
Ronnie got green lighted, which means that
I guess they put money
now
on
they put a
a bounty on my
a
head.
bounty on his head to come after him, to get him or whatever, because Ronnie was the mouthpiece. Because the only
we use our
way
social media to
the
promote
news and the
everything.
social media covered things because of Lizard Lick towing
Nationwide.
and and that was great because
It kept the pressure on the DA.
exactly. And
Because so many murders happen, and I'm not being ugly.
and nobody gets it.
Nobody gets it. And because of who we were and the door God had given us earlier in life,
Yes.
I mean, this was advertised. I mean, this was promoted in other countries.
Yes.
This made news in other countries.
Yep.
I mean, this was AP wire across the nation. Even 3 years later, when the court case is going on, they're still coming to court, doing interviews. They're still coming to court, asking us questions. They're still following the murder trial 3 years later.
But I keep going back to my death shall bring.
Yeah, my death shall bring.
And we're always after the one. So it doesn't matter how many people's in the room. If we can just get one to Christ,
Yeah.
it's like finding the lost sheep.
Josh caught a conscience at some point.
He did.
So-
Because he flipped on.
Josh is the one that actually, so Cassidy, the driver, came forward and said, look, I'm scared to death of Prince. He was the shot caller.
Yes.
I'm scared to death of him. He's beat me. He's done this. He's done that. He's done the other. Ironically, the way they caught him was he beat up his girlfriend in New York or Pennsylvania, his
I
wife,
think.
and got arrested. And that's how they found him on the run. But
Because apparently we're horrible people because
And
now
it- and
they
it
have
takes-
a kid.
It takes a big man to beat a woman. Let me just say that out loud. And,
Yes.
I mean that. It takes a big man to beat a woman. So Cassidy's scared to death. She came forward. She was going to be a prosecution witness. And at some point, Josh Stewart caught a conscience.
Yes, he did.
And his
that's what you pray
lawyer
for.
was a Baptist pastor.
Yeah, she was.
No, him. It was a guy.
Yeah. Then he
Josh's.
okay.
He
that's
switched.
right.
He
She
fired
had
the first
okay,
one.
that's
Then,
right.
then Nathan fired his. But anyway, so Josh came out as a witness for the prosecution and told the whole story.
Yep.
With Josh's story and Cassidy collaborating, and we had one witness from the house, which was actually Xavier's brother, the boy that died. He was a witness for the prosecution. Of course, when he got on stand, his dad was apparently a gang member, and he forgot everything he had said.
He had amnesia.
Yeah, because he had said it. It was all on recorded
Because
testimony.
from what I understand, he was sitting in the back of the courtroom giving certain signs for him to not say certain things.
Josh called a conscience.
And they saw it on film.
And he cut a plea deal. And because it was premeditated murder, they gave him 30 years. He's not eligible for parole for 30 years. Nathan got 40 years. Prince got 6.
Yep.
But Josh caught a conscience. And in the Bible, there's a couple of favorite stories I have in life. One of my favorite stories that I love to tell people is not a story about me, it's about Jesus. But when you see, everybody sees the picture of Jesus with a lamb around his neck. And they always say the footprints in the sand thing. When you can't walk, Jesus will carry you, blah, blah, blah. And that's a great saying, but people don't understand the meaning of that picture. See, back then, shepherds, and Jesus was a shepherd, and Jesus talks about leaving the 99 sheep to save the one. But when a sheep would run off, you would go find it, and you'd bring it back and put it with the flock. Well, if this sheep or this lamb continued to run off, and usually it's lambs because they're young, the shepherd would break their legs, which sounds horrible. But then the shepherd would put that lamb around his neck and he would carry it. And every day he would set it down to feed, and every day he would set it down at water, and he would heal this lamb. And when the lamb's legs would heal, this lamb had built such a relationship with this shepherd that he would never leave that flock again. And we're Jesus' lambs. And sometimes he has to break our legs, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
When he let Alex come home, he broke my legs.
Mm.
He snapped them in half. But we have always talked about going after the one. If it's just one life that can be changed. And I pray, honestly, every day, I saw the remorse in Josh Stewart's eyes. And I remember looking at him in court, and he actually looked at us when we gave our impact statements. And I said, man, I forgive you. I forgive you. Because I need you to know that even though you're going to spend most of your life in a cell, you don't have to spend eternity in one.
That's right.
You can still be free.
That's right.
And if he doesn't remember anything else from the murder or the trial or any of that, I hope that him and his mom, who seemed very sympathetic and emotional, I hope that they remember that he can still be free and there's a way out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I hope one day he gets to walk the streets again for what he did in the testimony. Because without his testimony, it'd have probably been a much harder trial. I mean, I think we'd have got a conviction, but it'd have been a lot harder. But I feel the same way about Nathan and Prince. The difference is Nathan shows no remorse whatsoever. There was no bleeding heart there at all. And Prince actually went and made Instagram videos standing at the bank with the sheets Alex died at in the background calling us out on video. I still got the video. Talking about we out here handling business. We in these streets. We ain't like these fake gangsters. We real gangsters. Slapping a 9 up in the camera, talking about a ghost gun, talking about it all happened right over there, you know, and bragging about the murder when he was too scared to do anything. And because of the TV show, and I'm being serious, because we made so many connections and our show is aired in every prison across this nation and we still get, 15, 20 calls a week from prisoners. From prisoners that are watching our show.
Yes.
Do you know how easy it would be to make these boys vanish in prison? Do you know how easy it would be for me to make one phone call, literally, drop a stack, and make these boys call out my son's name until they could call no more? These guys, they're in with guys for life. For $1,000, $2,000, for a stack, 2 stacks. You know how much commissary that is? You know how many keefy shots that is? You know how many soups that is? Kabangs, shebangs. You can make them disappear like a fart in the whirlwind. I mean that. I could make these boys vanish tomorrow. But that's not forgiveness. That's anger. That's hate. That affects, again, our family. If something happens, I get caught. Their family. I don't want, even though I still harbor some resentment about how they acted at the trial, especially the parent, Diane, I never want her to have to bury another child. I never want Josh's mom to have to bury him. I don't want them to hurt like we hurt. And I'm scared that because they're not saved, if something happened to them, where their eternity would be spent, I don't need that on my conscience. And I don't think the God I serve would approve of that.
No, not at all.
And if there's one sheep that gets found and back to the flock out of that, and it turns out to be Josh Stewart, he will become one of the greatest modern prison evangelists of all times.
Absolutely.
Because his story...
He has a testimony.
Oh, my gosh. And I talked to that pastor, and I'm hoping one day he'll set up a meeting with me and Josh.
Lessons.
Yeah, I'm hoping he'll set that meeting up. But I told him, I said, please make sure Josh knows that we forgive him. Please make sure he knows, his mom knows we forgive him. And yeah, is it hard? 100%. But how can we expect Jesus to let us into heaven, God to let us into heaven and forgive us of what we've done if we can't offer the same forgiveness to other people? Mm-hmm. And, you know, going back, I want you to tell a story about the kid real quick. But going back to that, my second top 5 story of all time is at the funeral. Now, I will say at the funeral,
there were more guns.
We were outgunned. We had people in the mausoleum.
Yeah.
We had
we definitely had security, black ops. Yeah.
We had it all.
Yeah.
We had it all. And the guy looked at us.
The guy looked at us and said, we were outgunned.
Yeah, we're outgunned here.
And I was like, well.
I saw one guy standing there that had it looked like an AK-47, could have been AR. I don't know. You could see the rifle sticking out of his trench coat. And I ain't talking about one of our guys.
No, not.
And there was not a person I saw there that had a shirt on that I couldn't see a stock in the back or the front. I saw one guy walking around. I could see 2 clips sticking out of his pockets. He had extended clips, and he was trying to keep his hands on them. Like, I thought it was going to pop off at the funeral. And one of the stories I love to tell, though, is Jason Hocutt, who's no longer with us, and I've said this before, but I found out who my friends were at that funeral. If I ever thought I was going to see Bobby Brantley again, because he used to call Alex Spider Monkey. They had a very special relationship, especially on the show. I really thought Bobby was going to show up that day, and he didn't. Johnny Ellis, I called him to tell him, hey, this is when we're having a funeral. And I'll never forget Johnny said, I'm on my way to a fishing expo. Like he didn't even care anymore. And I get that we drift off in life, but, you know, at that funeral, I found out who, when you turn the lights off and it's quiet and you're in your darkest place, who is there for you. And it opened my eyes a lot. And I'm to this day, I'm very closed about who I will let in my life because of that funeral, because I saw how many people did not come for Alex, but come for me and you. I saw how many people did come for me and you. And, you know, I won't ever say anything to them, but I'll never forget their faces. I'll never forget them being there. And if they ever need something and they call, I will 100% travel cross country to help any of them. But I remember turning around and looking at Jason Hocutt, who I hadn't spoke to in years. Me and him used to be tighter than a frog's tail. That's watertight. And I remember looking back and Jason was there. And I ain't spoke to him in years because we had a falling out because I was an idiot. And he said, today, there's one thing you don't have to do. You and Amy don't have to look behind you. And I knew that was God's way of saying, I got you back. And Jason was fully equipped, let me assure you. That mug was dirty, harried up now. And he was a big, tough boy. They called him The Rock. And but I remember at that funeral, and what most people don't know, and I never understood how she did it, but Amy's a licensed mortician. And Amy prepped Alex's body. And why did you do that? Can't talk. He had always asked her that if something happened to him, to make sure she was the only one that touched him. He wanted her to be the last hands put on his body. And when that casket shut, Amy Shirley's hands were the last hands that touched that boy, because she promised him that if anything ever happened to him, that she would be the last person to touch him.
No, I just told him I would take care of him.
Yeah.
I promised him I would be there.
And you were. But most people don't understand. I mean, I couldn't have done that. I'll be honest. I think when I look at strength in people, that the strength that you displayed, being able to put the final touches on our son, shows a type of strength that you can't build in somebody, that you can't grow in somebody. You either have that strength or you don't. And I think, and I mean this, I think only mothers have that kind of strength. The mother that can go through the pain to give a birth is the only mother that can have the kind of strength to go through death like that. And so I remember those standing at the funeral. Chad Harvey, Chris was there, Chris Connell, Danny Collins was there. All the guys from church were there. And Chad Harvey's our pastor at First Assembly.
No,
Cross Assembly. I'll always call it First Assembly because it's personal reasons. Well, it's just, it's Cross Assembly now. It's on Yonkers Road. If you want to know where it's at in Raleigh, it's right beside the Gentleman's Club.
I just think, honestly, that when you promise somebody something, you keep that promise,
and no
matter what.
You did.
And I did promise Alex that. And I held true to my promise, and that was the last thing I did.
But our church is located on Yonkers Road, right beside the Gentleman's Club, which you won't never find no gentleman there. But I tell everybody, if you want to know where our church is, look for the church with the best dancers in the state, because we got them. But Chad and me were out there, and the book of Job, if you ever want to read a book about loss, the book of Job is the greatest loss that I see in the Bible. And in short, Job was sitting there, and the devil went to God and said, look, I want to test your most righteous person. God said, oh, that's easy. That's Job. You can't kill him. Do anything else you want. And the story goes on, and Job lost all his flock, all his crops, all his house. But on the first day, his servant come in and said, Job, all 7 of your sons were killed today. And right behind him, another servant comes in and says, Job, all 3 of your daughters were killed today. Job lost 10 children in a period of minutes. And in the end, you go through the whole story of everything he lost. You wonder how Job didn't turn from God. But in this story, Job gets angry. And Job yells at God, and Job questions God, and Job challenges God. He doesn't turn from God, but he gets angry. And the Bible says anger is okay because it says God gets angry. But in your anger, do not sin. And I was angry with God. I'm not going to say I won't. I was furious with God. I was so upset with God because Amy prayed over this boy every single night. Hedge of protection, guardian angels, spiritual angels, warrior angels, healing angels. This boy had more prayer over him than anybody I know. Kept him on the prayer list, etc. All Amy's prayer friends pray for Alex. And so I was just mad because here he had finally come back. Like, God is getting his life straight and he's doing right. And then God takes him from us. And now looking down the road, when God takes something from you, he always replaces with something greater. Even if you don't think it's greater, in the kingdom it's greater. But I was there and I was mad. And I love my pastor. I love Chad Harvey. I do. I mean, I literally, I'm telling y'all, I would take a bullet for Chad Harvey. Maybe only in the shoulder, in a non-vital area. But I literally would take a bullet for Chad Harvey, and I mean that sincerely. I would stand in front of an entourage of bullets, but Chad is a no-nonsense preacher. He don't have time to powder coat it.
That's right. I like that. People like me have to hear the word that way because we're stubborn and we don't want to accept certain things.
But I looked at Chad, and the thing I hated most was people were looking at me during this time and saying, "How you doing? How you think I'm doing? Why? Like, don't say anything at all. Then ask me a stupid, how am I doing?" And I know they meant well, and I'm just angry, and I'm like, how do you think I'm doing? I'm burying my son. I mean, what do you think today is like? But Chad never come up and said, how you doing, da-da-da-da. He walked up to me, and he could tell. I guess he could see the anger in my face, the hurt, the not understanding. And he said, what are you thinking? That's what he wanted to know, what I was thinking. And I said, Chad, I'm thinking, how can I serve a God that did this to me? And I'm mad and I'm angry. And Chad, I want to know where God was. When those bullets were coming through that back window, I want to know where God was. When Alex was laying there taking his last breath, I want to know where God was. When he was gurgling, when he was looking for his mama, Amy, and his daddy and his brothers and his sisters, where was God? And I'm expecting some kind of heartfelt, 30-second, eulogy-based, comforting message. And Chad looks at me and says, what is wrong with you? Are you not a believer? Are you not sold out? Are you not a Christian? And I'm paraphrasing, and I looked at him and said, what are you talking about? And at this point, I was ready to knock him to flock out. Like literally, I'm getting ready to throw a hook on my pastor because I am now just irate. Like, who are you talking to? What do you mean? What, you challenging my soul? Everything you've seen me do, everything you've seen as far as my fruits, and you're going to ask me something like that? Like, I was hot because I'm in grief, and I just want to take my anger out on somebody. He says, let me tell you something, Ronnie Shirley. And at this point, I could see fire in his eyes. Like literally, you can tell when somebody's hot. And he was getting hot. And we're at the funeral. And he's getting ready to preach. He said, let me tell you something. You of all people should know this. He said, I'm going to tell you exactly the answer to your question. And I'm waiting. I'm like, all right, here we go. He said, all right, round one's getting ready to hit. He said, God was in the exact same place the day that Alex took 7 bullets, the day that Alex took his last breath, the day that Alex was looking up, trying to figure out what was going on right before he entered the kingdom of heaven. He was in the exact same place on those moments that he was at exactly 20-some hundred years ago when he watched his son sit on a cross after being whipped 40-plus times with the cat o' nine tails, after having a crown of thorn put on his head, after putting a cross on his back and making him carry it to his own crucifixion, where they drove stakes through his wrist and stakes through his feet and laid him on a cross for 6 hours, buck naked in front of his mama, and watched him bleed to death slowly while they laughed and mocked and cast dice for his clothes. The very God that could snap his fingers and trade places with his son, the very God that could snap his fingers and put any soldier up there on that cross, the very God that could snap his fingers and change the world, turned his back on his only son so that your son could go to heaven, so that your son could come home.
I guess you didn't throw punches after that.
But I did it myself because you know what? That's where God was. And he looked at me and said, if you could have snapped your fingers, would you have done it? Would you have gave another life for your son's life? Would you have traded places? Would you have let somebody else die on his behalf? And as a father, what do you say? Absolutely. Absolutely, I'd have said take somebody else. Absolutely, I'd have switched places with him. Absolutely. He said, yeah, any father would, except our Father. Our Father could have, and he didn't. You couldn't, and you would. You want to know where God is? You want to know where God was? Now you know. And I'm going to tell you, that 30 seconds changed everything in my life, the way I evangelize, the way I look at people. And again, I'm not perfect. I have horrible days. But that 30 seconds changed everything about me because somebody was real and somebody was factual and somebody was hard. It changed the way I deal with Amy. It changed the way I look at Amy. It changed everything about her prayer life and how it affects me now. Like that 30 seconds changed everything for me. And it was the only other time, besides with my grandma and at the house with Amy, that for just a few seconds I felt peace. And I literally felt the peace of God come down and touch us and surround us. And I remember I walked over there and put my arm around Amy, and I have not literally, and I mean this sincerely, I have not been angry that he died since. I'm angry. I did get angry he was killed. I got angry with the murderers and all that, but I was not angry that Alex died. And God brought that to fruition when we went where Rare Breed was singing to that church. You remember that?
I do.
What happened?
There was a kid, a teenager basically, that was there that came and heard me and Ronnie speak. And the kid came up and gave his life to Christ.
Kid was a recovering drug addict.
He was a recovering drug addict.
Been arrested, had been raped.
He just got out of rehab.
Yep.
He had a lot of issues. I'll never forget him.
But we used Alex's story. We talked about Alex.
Yes, we did. It was the first time.
The first time we spoke about his death.
Spoke about Alex.
We evangelized, and we said it that day. Hey, we're only looking for one sheep. Somebody out here needs to hear this story.
And he came up and he gave his life to Christ.
Sure did.
So they invited us back the next year. Only the gentleman didn't return.
Yeah.
He lost his battle to addiction.
Well, he spent 8 months going to the church, doing everything right.
Yep. He was on track.
He was doing good.
And he got back in with the wrong crowd, I think.
He fell in love and the girl left him.
Yeah.
And he turned back to the drugs.
Yep. And
OD'd
on fentanyl.
Fentanyl in the pill.
Yep.
And
he gave his life to Christ.
When I first got there, the first thing, and as an evangelist, you got to understand we're evangelists. So we speak somewhere and then we don't come back for a while. We don't follow up with people. That's what the churches are for.
Yeah.
And our job is to bring people to the cross.
Yep. The pastor takes them the rest of the way.
The pastor come up to me and the first question I ask him, I'm like, where's so-and-so, man? How's he doing? And I saw him light up, happy. So I'm thinking, hey, the dude's on the front row. And he says, he died, Ronnie. And I said, I'm sitting there, I'm just confused because I'm like, well, this pastor looks happy and he's telling me the kid died. And of course, I'm immediately in remorse because I should have called this kid. And I said, is that a good thing? He said, that's a wonderful thing. He said, because today he's with God in paradise. He's with Jesus in paradise. He said, and I just want you to know that the death of your son saved one sheep.
That's right.
And if that's the only sheep that gets saved, then Alex's death served its purpose. If it ain't no other one than that one, his death has a reason. His death had an absolute calling.
Had a purpose.
And we're doing this podcast because, we hope that's not the only sheep. And people need to know what we go through too, and they always want to know the backstory. And we've never really came out and told the story.
Yeah. It's a lot to unpack. And
we're only unpacking the very top layer because honestly, the rest don't matter.
Absolutely. Does not.
I pray every day though that Josh, did I get a call one day that says, hey man, I want you to know that Josh Stewart gave his life to Christ. I literally wait for that phone call. I hope I never go to my grave without that phone call.
I mean, I hope they all do.
100%, but there's something about Josh that I just think that God has a purpose for that kid. And I think God has a purpose for everybody, so don't get me wrong. I hope Nathan gives his life. I hope his mama gives her life. I mean, I feel bad for him if they don't, but Josh just has a spirit that I could tell his heart was different than most hearts. And when Paul said, I have a thorn in my side, you know, Josh had a thorn in his side. And I hope that this changes lives. I hope this podcast changes lives. I hope that Alex's death changes lives because it changed my life. And, luckily I didn't go to jail for hitting Chad. Thank goodness, because it'd be hard to evangelize after hitting a pastor.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
the one thing I do want to stress is this. If you have children that are hurting, if you got a spouse that's hurting, if you have somebody that is hurting, please help them. If they give you signs and they're crying out, please help them.
Don't turn your back on them, man.
Hurting people hurt other people.
Don't turn your back on them.
Don't give up on them. Love them. Pray for them. But whatever you do, don't just cast them aside. Yeah, everybody has troubles. Some a little bit harder than others. And everybody's hard-headed. Everybody's got to be right in this world. And nobody's going to look in a mirror and say, oh, I'm the one at fault. I did it all wrong. No, it doesn't work that way. People just naturally do not do that. But please pay attention. And divorced parents, get on the same page for the kids' sake.
Put your feelings aside, man. Put your hate aside. Put your anger aside. Other thing I say is there's too many families out there that don't have parental figures, man. Quit letting the streets, quit letting social media, quit letting YouTube, quit letting streaming services, quit letting computers raise your children, TVs. Be involved in their life.
We're not saying that they're bad.
No,
That's
just
not what we're saying.
be involved in their life so they have good examples.
Do something with them. Show them love. If nothing else, please show them true love.
You don't have to have money to have happiness.
That's right.
I'm not saying it don't make it easier because I ain't never seen a sad man riding a boat down the middle of the lake bass fishing. But I'm saying that that's not what your kids need. What your kids need is the wealth of a heart, the wealth of love, the wealth of the things that this world can't give them.
That knowing when they need you, you show up. You are there for them.
And I will say that I see Alex every day. I see him in the clouds. I see him in the car when nobody's riding. But I see him in Alexa, and I see him in Gabe, and I see him in Maggie. Every single day I see a piece of Alex and what he left in each of them. So I don't get to have any more birthdays with him. And that's the thing is, the kids that killed him, his mom ain't having no more birthdays with them. Not anytime soon.
And how do you cope? People ask me all the time, how do you cope?
Wow.
That's a loaded question because time, all it does is it passes by. It doesn't heal.
Time heals nothing.
Yeah, it just passes on. I was different than Ronnie. I did not blame God. Every day I was in my Bible. I prayed because that's what I'm good at. And as I prayed, God would show me through certain confirmations that either Alex was okay or whatever I was asking him about, he would always show me that it was okay because I always ask for confirmation. I have a number, 111, and that number would pop up. It took me over a year to figure out what that number meant, but all it means is that I'm with you. God was just saying, look, I'm walking with you. You're not by yourself. So,
hey, when was Gabe born?
And Gabe was born on 111.
111. God knew 20 years ago that you needed that number, that you needed that confirmation, and he gave it to you and one of your other sons. And I've always thought that. Since Alex's death, you talk about 111, and I always think, that's Gabe's birthday, man. And we named him Gabriel after the messenger angel. So, I mean.
We definitely weren't going to make him a third.
Gabe's message was, God is with you. And I truly believe that. And I'm telling you, though, There's so many things. You asked me the other day, what does heaven look like? And I can tell you 25 biblical examples of what heaven looks like. I can tell you about the streets. I can tell you about the gates. I can tell you about the 24 elders at the throne. I can tell you about the 12 entrances. I can tell you all kinds of stuff the Bible tells you about heaven. But the other day, we were doing something and you asked me what heaven looks like. And honestly, at this point, I don't know what heaven looks like because I'm not going to be able to understand it. But I told you the other day, my best explanation of what heaven looks like is, I know Alex is there. So heaven looks like home.
Yep.
And one day, it'll feel like home. And so, you know, when people ask me from now on what heaven looks like, I'm going to tell them home. Home, that's what it looks like. You want to know what heaven looks like? Home. Don't ask me what hell looks like because I ain't going.
Yeah, I'm not either.
So, you know, well, we got to wrap it up. If you could tell everybody one thing, they said, you know, God said, Amy, you get to tell people one thing. What would it be?
To love one another.
To love one another.
To love one. Because without love, you can't feel. To me, love is an emotion that's all wrapped up into everything. You love even though you're angry. You love when you're sad. You love when you're furious. You love when you want to just love somebody. When you're happy.
Yeah.
But without it, you don't get to feel all that. And I think the greatest commandment and what has saved our family and kept us where we are is love.
To love one another like Christ loved the church.
Yes.
To love the Lord thy God above everything else. And I agree with you. I don't think you've stayed with me definitely ain't because of money or good looks. Definitely ain't. But I think love has really bonded and kept us together. And, you know, I know that at one point I did see a report in closing that 68 or 70% of couples on TV end up getting divorced.
Yeah.
And the percentage for parents who have lost a child is actually higher. The divorce rate for parents who have lost a child is in the 70s on the last report I saw. We've been through reality TV together. We've been through a divorce together, my divorce. We've been through the loss of a child together. We've been through family turning their back on us together. We've been through folks stealing from us together. Like, the things we've been through together, so many people would not even make it to the first or second or third stage, and we're on stage 37. But I think you're right. I think it's because of love. And I think, you know, I think it says faith, hope, and love, but above all these, love. Faith, hope, and love, but above all these, love. Don't get angry. And especially don't get angry with each other. It's not your fault. It's not her fault. It's not God's fault. You know, that's the time you have to unify. And I hope our kids, all of our other children, are able to continue to find blessings from this loss. And I know it's hard, man. I know, you know, every year on the date of his death, every year on his birthday, every year at Christmas, every year at Thanksgiving, you know, there's an empty seat. There's just an empty seat.
Yep.
And that seat will stay empty. But the memories are there. And if you need to reach out, especially if you've experienced a loss, man, feel free to try to reach out to us. Reach out to us on social media. Reach out to us wherever. If you have an event, you need prayer, reach out to us. If you have an event that you want,
I pray all the time for people on social media.
Oh, shoot, yeah. Amy spends hours doing that. But if you have an event or something that you want to discuss loss, or, you know, we do a lot with recovering addicts because there's so much more in life that people are addicted to than drugs. And people don't understand that. There's a lot of bad, dangerous addictions, but the most dangerous addiction you will ever have is hate. There's nothing more dangerous than hate. There is no addiction that is more deadly, more destructive than hate. And the devil uses that addiction daily, above all other addictions.
Hourly, minutely.
Above all other addictions. So,
and uses it with people.
But I guess
that's it. Just remember to love one another.
I guess that's the word of the day on Drop That Boom. Check y'all next time.